Cinema Classics is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. For their details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
The award-winning Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows online at WCBE.org and like us on Facebook.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Johnny DiLoretto, and this is Cinema Classics.
It is.
And we are at the Gateway Film Center.
Yep.
And a lot of talk this year, John, about Michael Keaton and the Oscar race. And he's probably going to get his first, I believe it's his first, Oscar nomination for Best Actor.
Yeah.
And, I mean, here's the thing. This guy's had a really fascinating career. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Michael Keaton.
That's good. Yep.
And yet, so few of his films are really known.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, Birdman is going to change all that. You're quite right. And it's my vote so far for the best performance of the year.
Okay.
In which he plays a washed-up actor who had once played this great hero, Birdman, otherwise known as, of course, Batman.
Right.
And he's now coming to Broadway, producing, writing, directing a play, an adaptation of a Raymond Carver short story. Sounds pretty dicey. And what's so exciting about this is it gives him a chance to act at multiple levels. He's got a whole bunch of very interesting actors to be playing off of, including the incomparable Ed Norton.
Yeah.
So I think he's got it. I think you're right to suggest it.
Well, what's really exciting about the movie is seeing Michael Keaton in a lead, meaty role like this. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. When you go back and you start thinking about, what have I seen Michael Keaton in recently? Odds are you're not going to be able to think of it. Because the guy has really kind of remained hidden in little pockets and corners in recent memory. Now, we can work backwards, but let's start with recently. I mean, recently, he's taken smaller comedic parts.
You know, I kind of liked him in Need for Speed.
Yeah.
He plays the kind of the impresario of this race, and you see him back there coordinating everything. I liked it.
Right.
You know?
Well, he also has a similar role in the RoboCop remake. Now, no one saw Need for Speed, and no one saw the RoboCop remake. However, even when he's in stinkers, he comes out on top. Has turned into one of those great character actors that are, you can't sully him. No matter how bad the movie he's in, he always comes out on top because he's so likable. I'll try to hit the major points of his career, and then we can talk about how he works in those phases. But he burst onto the scene in 1982 with Night Shift, which is one of the great comedic performances given by a male of all time. He hadn't been in anything prior to that in Ron Howard's movie, and it's a great movie if you haven't seen it. It's this farce about two morgue workers who decide to run a prostitution ring out of the morgue.
Yeah, that's really crazy. But he started as a stagehand.
Yeah.
Way back in the late
he's
60s.
from Pittsburgh, so he worked on Mr. Rogers' show.
That's right.
And you'll remember the purple panda who didn't say anything.
Was that
ominous panda?
Oh my God.
Well, it wasn't him all the time, but he was occasionally in that suit.
Well, in 1993, he appeared in a smaller role that really solidified my appreciation. This was in Kenneth Branagh's Much Ado About Nothing. 1993. He played Dogberry, a very difficult comedic role, and arguable as to whether he was successful or not. But that he took it, that he went with it, I was so impressed.
Yeah.
Shakespeare, Michael Keaton, I said, this man has my admiration.
Yeah. So let's flash back
Yeah.
to after Night Shift. He bursts on the scene, and he starts taking these great comic parts. Some of the movies were flops. Johnny Dangerously, Bill Fondly, remember, was a flop. But Mr. Mom was a big
Mr.
hit.
Mom, big hit.
And he had a couple of other parts like that that didn't quite take off. And then he started to transition into some dramatic roles. He played a cocaine addict in a movie called Clean and Sober, which was really terrific, small, quiet, independent movie. And then he did Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah.
And so just when he started to fade away, because no one paid attention, right, he's like,
Michael Keaton. But anyway, he surprised everyone.
He did surprise everyone, I think, because people like the movies. They like seeing a guy in that suit, and he was competent. You know, I think he was physically wrong for it, but he was competent. And the production design, I think, helped him along in a lot of ways. Now, after the Batman movies, he didn't want to be tied to that franchise. So after 2 of them, he leaves. And this is when he starts experimenting. He tried the Kenneth Branagh stuff.
Yeah.
He also tried to play a villain in a movie called Pacific Heights.
Heights. I think he's terrific in that. He's the tenant from hell.
He is, but the movie sucks. And it didn't do him any favors. When he tried to go back to his comfort zone to comedy, he did a movie called The Dream Team, which was like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest light. And that was also a flop. So it's right around this time that he begins to really kind of fade away and start being more selective. He starts turning up in the character parts as Agent Ray Nicolette in some of these Elmore Leonard adaptations.
Jackie Brown.
And Jackie Brown, and I think also Out of Sight. And that, bought him a little goodwill and showed that he was willing to take smaller parts if they were right.
You're reminding me, if I can just go back for a second, to
Yeah.
Batman. Here's an actor who went nose to nose with Jack Nicholson,
Yeah,
who played the Joker,
right.
and a terrific job. I mean, that's another one of the big surprises. Nicholson was all over that movie, but Michael Keaton was right there with him,
Oh, yeah.
anchored it. It's
Yeah,
great.
and he does it in a way that he's not being overshadowed by Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
I think my theory on what happened with Batman is that Tim Burton felt like he was going to be working with, he had this big project, and I think he felt ill-suited for it. And I think he felt comfortable hiring Michael Keaton, which is somebody he knew, having worked with him on Beetlejuice. I think as soon as he found himself comfortable with Jack Nicholson, and he could make a Jack Nicholson movie, that's what you see happen. All of a sudden, Jack Nicholson has scenes that don't even make sense. They're just shoehorned into the movie, so that, because Tim Burton was having such a great time working with Jack Nicholson. Now, it didn't sweat Michael Keaton at all, but it's just an interesting thing. I think when you look back at that imbalance, that's what you're looking at.
Well, and we had talked in a previous show about Silence of the Lambs. He was up for the Jack Crawford role.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, so I think you're right that people began to see this guy as an actor who could handle different roles,
Right.
and particularly deep ones, and maybe even kind of slightly crazy
Now,
ones.
here's a funny story. Did you know that Woody Allen cast Michael Keaton? Now, think about Michael Keaton coming up, right, in 1982, 83, 84. He casts him in The Purple Rose of Cairo
Oh
as
yeah,
the movie star
Yeah.
in 1986.
yeah.
But what happened was Michael Keaton was ill-suited for Woody Allen's brand
Because
of humor.
he did a little bit, and
He was
then
just too much. So
He tried him in it. Didn't
Oh
he?
yeah, no, they started shooting the movie.
Yeah, that's right.
And Woody Allen kept giving him the direction less.
Okay.
But Michael Keaton couldn't do less,
Oh.
and so he fired him and cast Jeff Daniels in that part.
So Michael Keaton,
Yeah.
at a peak in his career now with Birdman, where do you see him going from here then?
That's interesting. I'm not sure. I think you'll start to see him do some more voice work in animated films.
Yeah, he does that.
He was great in Toy Story 3 as the Ken doll. But I'm not really sure. I think it all depends on the roles. He's had these moments before in his career where a sweet part has landed in his lap, and it turned out to be a great movie. There are only a handful of great Michael Keaton movies. There are slews of great Michael Keaton performances, but only a handful of great Michael Keaton movies. I think that, it would be great if we saw those two things line up a little bit more frequently in the future, but I don't know that. I mean, given the history of his career, he's a little mercurial. I'm not sure where it goes.
And I suspect he's going to be slipping into more Pacific Heights-like roles. As he gets older, I think people will see him as a more sinister type, when in fact he's just like, he could be comedic.
Yeah.
Well, if they'll allow him to. But as he's aging, they may let him just slip back into tough guy roles.
Well, I don't know. You know, I think he could have. I just had this thought the other day that a few little twists and turns in the mid '80s, and Michael Keaton might have been Bruce Willis. I could see him as John McClane in the Die Hard movies. You know.
On the other end,
Yeah.
he was being considered for Captain Jack Sparrow.
Is that right?
Yes.
I'll say I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah, I would too. I think he could do it, and that's why I'm hoping he'll get some offers like that. And
Yeah.
Willis would be great. I mean, anybody would love to end up like Bruce Willis.
Right.
With the multiple
But
possibilities.
those guys both started. That was what I'm saying. They both started out as funny guys. You know what I mean? And Willis somehow transitioned into this tough guy, this man of few words tough guy, which is weird for me because he was so, gregarious and talkative
Yeah.
in his early phase of his career. And Michael Keaton the same. I think Michael Keaton has taken a lot more interesting risks than Bruce Willis, and here it's paid off.
Well, let's just hope then that he doesn't get too disappointed at Oscar time if Jake Gyllenhaal or Eddie Redmayne
Yeah.
gets
Well,
it.
I don't think Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be
I don't either.
the guy, but Eddie Redmayne, in Theory of Everything, could upset him.
So I hope he'll take it gracefully. He still has time. I always remember how Bill Murray just left when he didn't get it for Lost in Translation. So I hope he'll act better
I don't
than
see
that.
Michael Keaton taking it that seriously.